buys the Porsche, immediately has to stop driving it because he could never show up to a business meeting where they wouldn't assume because he's driving the Porsche that he's not overcharging them. And there's this whole like culture of if somebody else is doing well, it's at my expense.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, it really, really
Well,
is.
here in Miami, it's the other way around.
Well, here in Miami, everybody's, like me, financially errant. It's like, yeah, I have a Porsche, but please don't ask me for $50.
All right, so this is now 38. 38. All right, we're doing 37
Same day. It's not that we haven't changed.
Yeah, guys. Yeah,
Well,
we're trying to rack up 2 interviews in one day. So this is 38, but yeah, still the same. We're still in the same attire. So
So it took you 38 to invite me? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's
no,
the
we just started.
takeaway.
No, we just started
Takeaway.
doing. No, we just started doing interviews. Really,
No, the answer is
Yeah.
you're actually the second interview.
Really?
Yeah, only really because of the timing. Because like he came first, but we should have put you
1A,
first.
1B.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
it,
1A,
got it.
1B.
Yeah. Makes
So,
sense. Makes sense.
So yeah, again, it's weird, interviewing friends because it's you kind of know the stuff, so you're like, it's weird to ask the questions, but one of the main reasons why I think it's interesting to bring JC in here is because I don't know if there's any other people that fucking started as a. First of all, you're let's see who you are because I forgot to mention.
Yeah, maybe we don't get through 3
Yeah,
4
this is
Yeah.
Last time I said
Without knowing my
you said
name?
that I didn't say Mike Gal's name till the fucking 30 minutes in. So JC, banker to the stars, de Ona. All right, president of Centennial Bank, right? You're regional president, or what's the exact terminology?
Yeah, it's
Regional.
the title's division president.
Division
It's basically, I have a region which is basically all of Southeast Florida.
All of Southeast
Yeah.
Florida. So Miami, all the way to the Keys, because I know there's stuff in the Keys. Guys,
It's technically Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County. The
Right.
Keys is kind of like its own little animal,
Right.
but I
So-
spend a lot of time there.
I'm not gonna say there isn't anybody that's done the same thing as JC because I wouldn't know for sure, but I can't imagine there's many people that started as a fucking teller, right? And
Yeah.
are president of a bank. I mean, do you know of any other ones?
Off the top of my head, there's maybe like 1 or 2 that I know.
Really? They start off as a teller? You should
yeah.
have just said no.
Well,
Would have sounded like
I'm being
hey,
honest.
just cut
Being
this
honest.
in.
Being honest. But no,
Yeah, because one of the guys he knows is listening, and he's like, no, it's like, the fuck, bro? You know me.
yeah. No, but I think something unique is not only that I started as a teller, but I worked in the retail side,
Right.
branch management, operations. Then I went into private banking, into commercial. So it did a little bit of
And then you were
everything.
vice
Small
president.
bank, big banks,
And you were vice president.
medium-sized banks.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when I met you, you were vice president of
Stonegate.
Stonegate,
Yeah,
which is
Stonegate.
way smaller.
Those were good days.
Way just smaller banks. Stonegate days were fun. Were interesting. They were
those were
fun.
good days.
And then we can see there we go. That's the thing about having interviewing a friend where
Yeah.
we got to leave it there. So
As legal.
no, yeah,
I'll write
it was all legal.
I'll write a book one day.
Yeah, it was all legal, but
I'll change the names.
When the statute of limitations is
Change the names,
passed.
yeah.
Right.
Amazing, man.
yeah. So the banker to the stars thing, I definitely was the one who invented that name. That's a fact.
I think you're the only one that calls me.
That's
that,
fine,
it's
but
okay.
we're gonna get there, and
Yeah.
there's gonna be a day where
It caught on to some people.
Some people, banker to the star. I mean, is there? Because I know it's tricky. Is there? Can you throw a couple of the stars out there that you've been a banker to? I mean, there's some that are public
because
knowledge.
it's not
Rich Barbara.
Yeah,
Rich
besides
Barbara.
Besides the obvious.
Oscar Barbara, right?
No, it's out there. Some of the guys, a couple names. Rick Ross, which
Rapper,
I think
right?
I've even on some videos.
You are.
Yeah, you are on
He
some
was like,
videos.
I need to wait for my banker. And you see JC walking in at the
I didn't
car
even know what was
dealership.
going on.
Yeah.
But Dwayne Wade's another one, and
Right.
these guys have become friends over the years. So it's
Right, so you guys-
it's like, listen, you guys know a lot of the people I deal with, and
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I know. I just don't. Again, I don't want to go
Yeah.
out there and be like, oh,
Yeah.
that's the way the banker to the stars comes up. Because
listen, when I met you, I didn't like you when I met you.
I don't think anybody
Yeah,
does.
listen, it's a common sense.
Yeah.
Richard definitely didn't fucking like that. Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, he objected to even meeting me.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
So it was a preemptive.
No.
pre-meeting
No.
objection.
Actually, I insisted on meeting him so
Oh, there
that
we
he
go.
could tell me with a straight face the same thing he said to my partner, which I found just unbelievable.
The balls on this guy.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck? I'm like, I gotta meet this guy so he can fucking tell me. And sure enough, bro, it was amazing. He told me just like that. I'm like, okay, I like this guy.
Damn it.
It was good.
It was the deal I was offering.
Yeah.
They see that he had an issue with. It was,
yeah, he's like, you do everything and we'll pay nothing.
right. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the scene from The Godfather too.
Yeah.
Right.
My offer is
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
was the best investment.
Best
to this
investment
day.
ever.
By the way, you know what?
My
We didn't
workhorse.
get to congratulate you officially. You're officially chairman of FREC, right?
I am officially the chairman.
As of like, it happened within.
Congrats.
Thank you.
It happened within like the last month that we've been kind of off a little bit.
Yeah, last 30 days.
Last 30 days, right? Is there anybody you want to thank in particular for this, assignment and this
God,
this- okay.
God first.
Okay. We can leave him for last in this particular case.
Yeah, and
Is there anybody who influenced you? Maybe
no one else comes to no one else.
Anybody
comes
who
to
also
mind.
influenced you into maybe getting into the business?
No one else.
Nobody-
comes to
I know
Yeah.
where this is
really.
going.
You
And
know,
it's always great to be right in the middle of this.
I mean, is there anybody who you would say that you were like didn't want to get into real estate at all, and then they were just kept on pounding on you to get into real estate, and that's why you're the chairman of FREC right now?
I can't think of who that
No
is.
names come
JC, let me tell you, this guy's an ungrateful son of a bitch. I would have called and be like, hey man, listen, all jokes aside, you were at a really huge part of me getting into real estate. I didn't want to do it. I would at least send a letter, text, man, nothing from this fucking guy. What do you think about that, JC? You knowing both of us here, do you think I would deserve?
Like a married
it's
couple.
his way of showing love. Right? It's his way of showing love.
All right, I'll take that.
I did
Yeah.
tell him though. I'm like,
What?
I just want you to know, I'm the chairman. I was like, I will respond to chairman
Your higher. What is
or
it?
excellency.
Your excellency.
I was on a call with him the other day with the lender and opposing counsel, and he did throw it in once. Because I'm chairman of FREC.
Did he really?
Did I?
Yeah, he did.
When?
I don't know, but you said it the other day on something. I was like, attaboy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've
remember.
used
Or maybe
it.
he wasn't chair, or you're part, or you were a member. You
Something.
serve on.
Yeah.
You threw it in there as just like as a jab. Like,
A little
I know what
verbal
I know what I'm
hand
talking about.
Just toss
It's
it in there.
interesting when you
as
get-
the chairman of FREC, I obviously know what I'm talking
It's
about. One of
interesting.
those-
Yeah. Exactly. It's interesting when you get two attorneys, and then if some
it's always a dick measuring competition.
when one wants to
I
have a
try
little bit of an
I
ego.
try never to make it like that, but bro,
No,
there
but they
are
come
just
out
some
and Richard
people
comes.
that are just like that, bro. There are some people. Look at Aladdin, bro.
I will say he makes it entertaining. I sometimes I jump on the calls just to listen to see what goes on.
Yeah. I mean, when you get two attorneys, it's always a dick measuring competition, and if it's you add a
We've had
realtor
some
in there,
interesting ones.
Oh my
We've
god,
had some
have
interesting
we
ones.
ever
Yeah.
fucking A.
Yeah, we've had some interesting
The
ones.
worst is when, as a real estate agent, when you get a real estate agent that is competent and assumes by the fact that you are another real estate agent that you must be incompetent,
right?
Yeah.
it is automatically the zip, and you can hear it. You can hear
Yeah.
the zipper
Well,
coming down.
there's no situation where an attorney feels the need to measure his dick more than when he's with a realtor, a competent realtor that makes and he's making a certain amount of money on the deal. Those guys, that really pisses attorneys off. But I think that's actually why we're in this whole commission situation.
It's not a
right now.
certain amount of money. It's that it's a grossly disproportional amount of money.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
And by the way, those days are ending.
No, they're not. I'm telling you, 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 they're not.
Oh,
Have you heard about
shit.
the whole commission thing with the realtors? and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised if something was coming, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a pingue, bro.
Yeah.
It's real
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be painful for a little while.
Yeah, well, listen. Again, nobody forces a seller to pay commission. Nobody forces
No.
a seller to pay commission, right? So I just don't see the issue. I think it's all going to get cleaned up. It's all going to be, because at the end of the day, especially here in Miami, maybe around the country you see it less, where it's really 6% and 6%. Here, bro, you gotta get on your knees. You gotta have knee pads to get 6% all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's
And a deep throat.
Dude, and here's another thing. So Richard, since
Pretty mouth.
JC, seriously, since I've been in the business, right? And I'm telling you because I've hated them every second of it. There's always been those flat fee companies. You've heard them, right?
Yeah.
Pay $500 to put it on the MLS. They've always been around, always until this day. From when I started, it was horrible, right? There's Realtor.com. You can put it on. You can put it on. It's same as MLS or better, right? You get Zillow, the whole situation. So I just don't see. But I don't want to go into that whole thing. We're here for JC, and we're here to celebrate JC's success today. All right. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Even though I was the B person.
Yeah,
today,
you
it was
were
fine.
because you showed up late.
One B.
Yeah.
1B.
So you started off as a teller. What was the second? What was the second step?
From teller, I went on to like platform. You go into a bank, the people that open the accounts.
Okay.
They call them the platform at that time.
You sit at a desk now.
Yeah, I got to sit on my
not
desk.
in the window. You're
Yeah,
at
it was
the
all
desk.
cool to sit at a desk.
Right.
But then I did operations management, so you're kind of all the back office.
So you went in there thinking you wanted to be the president of a bank, or that wasn't even in the fucking.
No.
What was the main goal? Like, oh man, if I could be this.
When I was a teller, and this was back in 98, 99, you had the .com boom. And I was watching these guys with their Series 7, these brokers, and they were making all this money, and they had the nice suits. I'm like, I want to be those guys, right?
Yeah.
And at one point, that was kind of like, okay, I want to be a broker. I want to be in that side of the world, on the financial world, and I was on track, and that's what I want to do. And I did. I got all my licenses and all that. And when I was in wealth management, private banking, you're a banker, but you're also doing investment. So I went to that role. But in between, I kind of learned other things. As I was in the branch, I was in retail and operations, doing sales, all of that. Yeah. And I got an opportunity when I was at Wachovia at the time, and I had won like the financial person of the year or whatever. And they're like, "What do you get?" Yeah,
the guy.
And, whatever they called
guy.
it. They gave me like a silver plate. It's like, oh, and they asked me, "What do you want to do?" They wanted to keep me in the bank because I want to be in private banking. And I was young, at the time.
Like what? Early 20s?
Yeah. And they're like, it's
private degree in finance. You got a degree in finance.
Yeah. Private banking was the hardest division in a bank to get into because everybody wants to be there, and it's small, it's close knit, and it's kind of like
right.
So, they gave me the opportunity. The next week they called me and they're like, "Hey, if you want the job, here it is." And
so because you were financial guy of the year or whatever, and got the plate,
Yeah.
you were able to kind of like dictate a little bit.
It's like when the light's shining on you, take that opportunity.
Take the opportunity.
Yeah,
right.
and that's kind of what
key. That's
what kind of happened.
Strike while the iron's
It's
hot.
happened multiple times, and that's kind of
right.
And even when you go from one financial institution to another, you kind of want to grow in the role, grow in your title, grow in your salary, and that's kind of the trajectory you want to take to make more money and to grow within the banking world.
Yeah, and so after that, you went. How many steps to get to like the actual like vice president part? Where
it was when I moved from one bank to another, and it was Wachovia to Regions at the time, which is Regions Morgan Keegan, which was their wealth management, and that's where I went kind of into the vice president role title, if you want to call it that.
But banks have like 50 vice presidents.
Yeah,
he was a senior vice president at Stonegate.
Yeah.
That's when you're an SVP.
The Stonegate move was interesting because I was going to either leave and be a market president for private banking for a well-known institution at the time, or go to start this de novo, region for the bank, or market for the bank, because they were already existing in Broward County and they didn't have anything in Dade County. So it was like, all right, you're going to open a new. I mean, I didn't have an office. I mean, it was just like, this is a new thing,
right?
And
but
something
it took a certain large level of balls.
And absolutely. And the bank was small when I got there. I had clients that were worth more than the bank.
In banking, it's called testicular fortitude.
Yeah, no, it is, man. And let me tell you that you can't just kind of gloss over that. You can't gloss over that because again, it's we've already gone very quickly. We've gone through two decisions where JC's like, oh fuck it, I believe in myself. I'm taking the next step. Where people would be maybe afraid. I'm like, or hey, let me chill with this plate for a little bit and relax. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're like, no, let's go. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, let's go again. And you're figuring back. The interview we just did right now, the same thing. It's you jump and then you figure it out.
Yeah.
You don't figure it out and then jump. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like let's do it. I know for sure I'll be able to figure it out at some point.
You got to believe in yourself and your capabilities and what you can do. At the end of the day, that's important. If you don't believe that you can do something, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's part of it.
In the
you know,
words of Alex Capo, irrational confidence.
yeah.
That son of a bitch definitely has irrational confidence.
I love that guy.
And I think it's also, and that's what it sounds like. You were always looking for what the next thing was. I mean, you're always keeping an eye out for what the next opportunity is, as opposed to just blindly doing what you find yourself.
And you always got to listen. You know, you always got to listen. If somebody's going to come and bring you an opportunity, like, don't be closed-minded and be like, no, I'm here. No, listen. You never know. It could be today or tomorrow. You got to listen. And again, if you know where you want to get to, you got to kind of envision the path to get there.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing that I tell, because I'm in a unique situation where I'm always like, you know, there's always like young kids coming in, you know, like getting their license, and you're kind of like, you know, serving like a little bit of a mentor role and everything, and you know, one of the things I mentioned, man, that people just don't really give the respect and you know, it's just, you know, relationships, man, and you know, loyalty and relationships, taking care of, you know, one thing that I know for a fact that's a huge part of your success, you know, and who you have around, and you know, it's you know, respecting relationships, understanding, taking care of people, making sure, you know, having a word, you know, your word is as strong as any contract. You say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. You know, all of those things are a huge part of anybody who I know, you know, success. And, you know, and again, I think, you know, you're one of those, you know, and I guess I'm skipping questions. I'll continue on with the trajectory, but, you know, it has to be hard for you to be an old school banker, because that's what you are. You're like a 1980s banker in 2024 almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're like, your clients are your friends, you know, like you move banks. I mean, everybody's moving with you. I mean, you know,
you
know, that's a fact. And that's
I've
where
been
really your
fortunate with
power,
that.
that's where your power is. Because
yeah.
everybody, you've been, you know, you've been great to, definitely to me, and everybody that I know is
Listen, and to that point,
can't get into too much, but he's been great to us.
Saint JC.
Yeah, you always have that. Listen, your clients are your fucking again. You
JC
really go out of your way.
A botanica of little JC figurines, bro. People have them at the house there, bro. And if you want a house, you bury it in the front yard, like they say, like the Cubans
I should make
do.
one of those. I should make one of those.
Yeah, listen, it's easy to be a banker when everything is great, right? Yeah. You know, it's when things are not so great or things take a downturn.
Yeah.
Those are the times that the real bankers come out. And I'll tell you, I never turn my back on people. Yeah. I never did not pick up the phone.
You do if they're pieces of shit, because I've seen you read a situation.
Well, you gotta
be
do
like,
a lot
fuck this guy. I'm not putting my balls on the line for this guy, and I'm not. You know what I mean? So.
Well, right. I mean, you can't be a fucking scumbag.
Right.
You know?
No, I mean, you got to know. I mean, I've been good at picking my winning horses.
And the reason why I know, right? But that's why I'm mentioning it. It's not like you're just blanket, just taking care and your clients and everything. It's you got a pretty damn good eye for talent at the end of the day. Because I mean,
listen, I'll share a name-free, relatively.
I'll know right away. Just my
relatively detail-free story that is one of my all-time favorites. I tell it with some frequency.
Are you sure you can say it on a podcast?
It's very funny. No, I'm not. Trust me, detail-free.
Okay.
So we all have this friend, co-worker, you know, business partner of sorts that we've worked with for years, and it was you know, in the downturn, and it's like after the downturn was already part of life. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but like there was the crash, and then you were in the shit for like there was 3 or 4 years of just shit.
2 solid years. Of shit.
Yeah. So like, you know,
one of diarrhea.
We're probably in like year 2.5. Okay, there's only like the slightest hint of a horizon. Okay, and by the way, it's far. Or like they say, the light at the end of the tunnel. You're not sure if it's a train or the end of the tunnel. You know? And you know, JC needs to talk to this person. And this person knows that he can't talk to JC. Like he's avoiding talking to JC.
I already
and
know.
And so there were a select number of people at the time, my being one of them, that had like access to the red phone. You know, where like this is how you reach this individual no matter what.
Right.
And I'll never forget, JC calls me. He goes, "Oh, hey, bro, we got to get on the phone. We got to get this guy on the phone." And I said, yeah, no problem, because you know, if JC's in trouble, everybody's in trouble. So it's like, I remember that I make the call and I make the connection, and then I say, "Hey man, I got JC on the line," and he's like, "Bro, I can't believe you did this," and I go, "No, fuck you, bro. It's time to pick up the fucking phone, bro." And JC goes, "Hey man, are you hiring?"
I think I've heard this story before.
Why? And he goes, "Because I'm gonna need a job."
I know. I've heard this story before. I know exactly who it is, and I've heard this story before.
I was dying. I was just laughing so hard. It was just, bro, man.
Well, that's the thing.
They
So
were painful
again,
days.
No details, but JC would go out of his way to just, you know. And again, that goes back to, it has to be hard with today's world and everything that to be a fucking 1980s style bankers. I would always hear
banker with balls, as I tell.
Yeah, people. Because how many people? I tell people, oh, you know, I'm gonna go meet with my banker. I'm gonna go have lunch with my banker, and they're like, oh, you have a banker? Who the fuck has a banker nowadays, right? So I even on my phone,
like anybody with a
remember
business.
on my phone, on my phone. So on my phone right now, it says JC Banker. Now my friend, because JC, I'm with JC one day, and he's like, and his number pops up, and he's like, banker, dude, the fuck? Why am I just? I'm your banker. He's like, damn.
JC Banker.
Right.
Really?
Right, like dude, seriously, like,
This is where we are.
So now I'm like, dang, you're right. Now it says JC Banker. Now my friend.
Well, what's funny is that Jesus is one of those guys that, much like Rodney, that the way they save people is like with associating it with what it is.
Yeah.
Like no one in Rodney's phone has like a first or last name.
Right.
You know, it's always like so and so, my tint guy.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's that moment of clarity when you're like, I'm going to go look for this person, and if I have their first or last name,
All I gotta
I'm
put is
never going to
tint.
remember who that
All I gotta
is.
put is tint.
But
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
no, I get that. I mean, I used to a person I used to work with. He could never remember anybody's names, but he was a great rainmaker. He'd bring business in like crazy. But I'd be like, all right, you know, we got to take. All right, so what's their name? Sweetie, baby. I mean, I have some phone guys. I can't even tell you the names that I have stored in my phone of how he remembered these guys. And, you know, I get their phone number and I'd have to like call them up and try to figure out, hey, I just spoke with this
He's
guy.
like, hey, Mr. Sweetie. They're like, what?
So you know, is it like I don't know, what do you see in people, like, because I think success has to do, I think 90% of success is just being around the right people, you know, knowing the specific character traits, right? Like at the end of the day, dude, we've been in this business long enough that our friend's success is our success, right? Like one of us makes it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, again, like we were fucking around about the Freck thing, like that guy, I might as well be on Freck. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You're
He
president of a bank.
makes sure to tell everyone too.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Dude, I put up with you for 18 fucking years.
very
I put up with you for 18, 20, almost 20, 19
This guy sent
years.
an email to some lawyer the other day, and he's like, you know, for full transparency, my lawyer is the chairman of Freck. And dude, the guy emailed me one-on-one, and he was like, hey, is this guy serious? What kind of asshole is this? No, and then he picks up the phone, he calls me, he goes, no, because, you know, the guy sent an email that his lawyer has the biggest dick in America. And I'm like, it's just part of his charm. He doesn't mean anything.
What he won't tell you is how many emails I've sent I'm just saying, listen, I'm not saying, you know, you have to act different or anything. I just want you to be aware that Mr. Because there's a bunch of realtors here. I'm being nice to you. Be aware that the chairman of Freck is
Conduct yourself accordingly.
You know? So
What's funny is people listening and they're like, this Freck chairmanship must be really something.
In my world it is. But yeah, we're in the world where, you know, listen, you're the president of a bank. I might as well be president of a bank. I mean, our friends, the better our friends get, the more we get. So, you know, I think it's, and when I tell these young kids nowadays, it's like, man, you know what? You know, focus on surrounding yourself by people that are like-minded. You know, people that are, you know, trying to make it just the way you are. You are really going to be who you surround yourself by. I mean, that's a fact. You know, you surround yourself by pieces of shit and people that are just hanging out, not doing.
Not just that, but I'll tell you what, it's very cool to see like the you know, obviously people say getting old sucks, and then there's the other people that say, well, it's better than the alternative,
right?
Which is, you know, dying young. Also true. But one of the redeeming qualities of getting old, and doing what you're saying, which is having been around people that get ahead in life, is, man, like all of a sudden you look around and it's like, you know, one of your dear friends is the president of the bank. You know, the other one of your dear friends is the fucking mayor. Right. You know, it's like, you know, the other guys, the other
chairman of Freck
is the other guy. Right. One of them is the chairman of FREC. I mean, no, but I mean, it's
I don't
very
like the
cool.
mayor one, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's very cool, man. That's how, as we're getting older, and then, that's how you kind of, I don't want to say replace, but you succeed the other, like the prior generation of people that,
Well, and here's another thing, like, there's somebody coming from out of town. Like I've people have called me, hey, can you get me this guy on the phone, or there's not really anybody in Miami.
Or can you get me a reservation at this place?
Yeah, there's really, right. Like there's really nobody. Like I would call all of you guys, and by the time I finish, I'll get to whatever person it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's part of, that success and part of picking the right people.
Part of the hard fucking work is what it's a part of.
Well,
that too.
I think there's also a built-in unselfishness to it as well, in the sense that you are willing to invest in other people's success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People tend to be the younger they are, the more selfish they tend to be. I find in today's culture, and it's a willingness to help. I know, like, you've never made me feel bad if I had to call you up and say, "Hey,
same way around." Yeah.
And if there's ever anything I could do, and investing in those friendships.
Well, I think my friends that have been around, they respect friendship as much as I do.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like I respect friendship. Like you're my friend, and dude, that's a whole different world, and it's like you understand the importance of it. And there's not a lot of people that a friend is whatever, it doesn't matter. And listen, and most of my friends have been for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Well,
I had one that died, was like fucking 35 years. I lost that one, but
there are people out there that they don't like to see their friends succeed and do better than they are.
Fucking
and
haters.
those people bring you down. And you gotta cut those people out. You can it comes out.
Yeah.
They can hide it for a while, but it comes out. And you got to be able to get those people out of your life, out of your circle.
Like
you got to be able to spot it.
If you're embarrassed about like sharing some form of success with someone, that's a person that
that's a red flag.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's like a good measuring.
You got to be very careful.
Oh, I can't tell them I did this because
I don't want to hear any shit. I don't want them to think that that's all I care about. And I mean, it's like
that's a good way. Your gut, trust your gut a little bit more than.
I had some people early on that they were like, oh, because it's just all about like, making money and this and that. And I was like, no, I'm about trying to live a better life. But now that I'm hearing you say that, I know where you're thinking.
You get something, you go buy a Porsche, and you're like, you're going to have friends who are like, oh, it's awesome. And hype you up, oh, go get it. Other ones are, they're going to hate on it. Oh, you got a Porsche.
Oh, what are you paying for it? It's like, what you pay for that kind of
right.
What am I paying? Quite a lot. But
am I regretting it?
Not at all.
Like, trust me, I wish they'd give them away, but they don't. So it's fucking crazy.
There's, and this is one of the interesting. I have a customer that's from Germany, and he talks about the built-in jealousy within the culture.
Yeah,
like his goal growing up was to make enough to get a Porsche. He wanted a Porsche, and so he built his own business.
Horrible suspension.
Germany. Terribly hard to have your own business, right? It's much easier to work for a big company. The rules are very difficult if you're going to have your own business. But he fought the good fight, opened his own business, right? Buys the Porsche. Immediately has to stop driving it because he could never show up to a business meeting where they wouldn't assume because he's driving the Porsche that he's not overcharging them. And there's this whole like culture of if somebody else is doing well, it's at my expense.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Well, here in Miami, it's the other way around.
Well, here in Miami, everybody's, like me, financially errant. It's like, I have a Porsche, but please don't ask me for $50.
All right. So going back to the trajectory. So you're investment banking, then you went into kind of like not the vice president already, or yes?
Yeah. Well, when I was at Stonegate, I was a senior vice president. And that was a completely different, experience for me because it was starting from scratch. I mean, it was almost weird because you were bringing in your own people, you were underwriting your own loans, and you were presenting it for approval. It was like, is this even legal? It was kind of an interesting time period, but it was fun too because it was more entrepreneurial than your traditional banking, and it was like you're building. Yeah,
like I almost don't think of you as having a job, honestly. No, I'm serious. No, listen. He doesn't really. He has a job, but he doesn't really like your own hours. You go to wherever you're always really with clients. So even if you're in fucking France,
you're always working too. It's like I go on vacation. It's like I'm always on my phone too. So I can never really disconnect.
Right. I tell people all the time.
That's because it's this old fashioned concept that work is done at a location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know about you guys. I don't have to be at my office to work. I've been
Right.
sitting here fucking working the whole fucking time
Through the podcast,
You know?
right.
So it's just you know.
Yeah.
You're
Same
working
here.
at all times. I mean, I get
Yeah.
people that call me and email me. I mean, I'm, you know, you
Right.
guys know, sometimes you
Right.
text me or email me and I'll respond at 2 in the morning.
And,
You know,
and,
it's like-
and it's also like sometimes I'm not texting. Even though I'm texting you work, I don't feel like I'm texting you work because it's JC,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm texting him on a fuck. I could text him on a Sunday morning about something, and it's work.
well,
related,
that's
but I'm like,
that's
well,
also been part of my
It is
my
what it is.
success, right? That's really what's helped me. It's I've always gone above and beyond. And
Yeah.
if you need something, I'm going to be there. If you need
Yeah.
to call me, it didn't matter if it was 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
you know, at night, 6
Yeah,
o'clock
you're
in the
definitely not
morning.
banking
No,
around.
weekends.
it's fucking work, even when
Yeah.
it comes from your friend. It's just that it's
Yeah.
less
Painful.
unpleasant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
because
Well, some friends are still.
oh no shit.
Yeah.
I think that the argument that society has moved to a very much more transactional basis is a very good one. I mean, there's so few places. This is what I teach with real estate and everything. I mean, who do you work with? Who do you have that you say, oh, that I got a guy. You know, you got to go talk to my guy, right? It sounds like that's the relationship you have with your customers. Oh, bank, you got to go see JC.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to people about my father. My father used to buy a brand new Cadillac every single year. He would go to Ocean Cadillac, and there was a guy down there named Bernard Lipman, nicknamed Lippy, because you had to have a nickname. It's the 1960s. Everybody's got a nickname. Bought a brand new Cadillac every year up until 1975. 1975, things changed. He didn't buy another new car until 1989, so like 14 years. No new car. Who did he go see? Lippy, because he's got a guy. And so doing business in such a way that you give people this feeling like, why would I work with anybody else? It's what's largely missing. There's no loyalty in any. I mean, where is there loyalty in anything that you do anymore? And so fostering a culture of when you work with a customer, the win is not closing the transaction. The win is closing the customer.
Yeah.
They don't do business with anybody else other than me, or I screwed up. It's just not part of how we do things anymore.
Yeah. So vice president for Stonegate, then the whole Stonegate being bought out situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So in comes Centennial Bank, which is an Arkansas headquartered
Which
bank.
is very interesting that they're in Arkansas and they're coming.
Yeah,
to
I'm like
Miami.
the token,
the
the
token, yeah.
Latin that's down
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
But you know, they came in and I honestly I was weighing a couple of their offers, and you know, it's kind of like they made me the offer I couldn't refuse kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I stayed on board, and it was a great decision because they since the beginning they've really trusted in me, and you know, and listen, it goes both ways. I think it would be virtually impossible for them to kind of put somebody in here from there
Yeah.
to do what
Yeah.
I've been able to do. It's
You're not bringing John
No,
Smith
you
from
can't.
Arkansas
You
over
can't.
here. Yeah. It's impossible.
you can't. It doesn't work. This is just a unique market, and you got to know how to maneuver around and know the people, know who to lend to, who to not lend to, who are the good people, who are the bad people. You need to know all of that. And it's been great. I mean, they've been good with me. I mean, listen, the region I oversee is the most profitable one in the entire bank. So
Right.
we've done a good
And by the
job.
way,
We
it's
got a
gonna
great
continue to-
team.
It's gonna
Yeah,
continue to
I built the team, so we've got a great team down here. We got great people, and it's been a great past almost 6.5 years now, 7 years. It's going to be next year. So
Was
it's been a
Centennial that
great-
long already?
Yeah.
It's crazy how
Time
the
flies.
time passes, man.
Time flies. But the interesting part too is going from Stonegate, and Stonegate grew, and I was able to do more and more with clients. I was getting like tapped out with what I can do with clients, because you've got limits on what I can lend any individual person, and even from a larger scale, if they're doing businesses with different people, it all gets combined, and you're limited. So in comes Centennial Bank, much larger balance sheet, and now I went from $3 billion in assets to $22 billion in assets, and that gave us more firepower now to really get things done. And clients that were like doing maybe one deal with us now are doing 3 deals with us, 5 deals with us. They were doing a deal that was 20 million, now we're doing 100 million. So it's really given us that opportunity to grow with our clients, which has been really great and unique.
Yeah, and it's not only that. I mean, look, you're also the service is also great and stuff like that. I feel like I'm doing a commercial for Centennial Bank, but listen,
I give the commercial all the
Yeah,
fucking
he does all the
time.
time.
Man.
And we
I
got-
need something.
and we-
It really
just,
is.
honestly.
just the logo on the bottom corner of the screen for
Yeah. Listen, we got great people here. I
sponsored
mean,
by-
people love banking with us because we got great people. I mean, you bank with us.
Yeah.
There's great people. You bank
Yeah.
with us. You know,
I mean, some
you're
of the-
not always talking to me. I mean, you're
but some
talking
of the
to people in
services
the office.
that you offer, I don't know if I don't even want to mention them because I don't know if everybody gets those services. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we get some pretty. Cool
You've enjoyed
little,
some special services, yeah.
I would say we're a little bit on the VIP section.
Yeah,
a little bit, you know?
yeah.
So
Yeah, there is a
And
VIP list.
undeservedly so.
Yeah.
yeah. So what? So and did you ever? You know. So what you so where you are right now as far as a president, when you started, you were like that wasn't like you couldn't have imagined.
You know, I wanted to grow. I didn't think. Listen, you always have aspirations to do something, and sometimes you don't think you're going to do it that quickly, right?
Right.
And I think I was able to grow, you know, fairly quickly. You know, and that was kind of like nice, but you know, at the same time, I worked for it, right? So, but it was looking at the right opportunities, you know, and being ready for them, because that's the key too. You got to be ready when those opportunities present themselves in any business, right? Whether
What
you're
changes
in banking,
are you seeing changes in clients too? Are you getting more clients from California and stuff? I mean, are you?
we had a migration of clients. And
New
listen,
York?
it's the migration of the population here that's come
Right.
in from New York, California,
Is
Chicago.
that like a certain percentage already of your guys, or of even you know, or what are
You
what are
know,
you seeing? What are you seeing?
We
and
still
what are you,
see
what
a
are you-
lot that are from here, but we've seen more that are from New York, Chicago, California, and not only just direct, also being involved, right? Richard has a project and he's developing something. Well, now one of the limited
investors-
partners is this guy from New York, and that guy, you know, inserts himself there, and they grow that way, right? I'm going to do this deal and that deal. So,
Right.
yeah, we've seen a lot of that, and honestly, I don't see it stopping.
Yeah.
So,
And as I was going to ask, that's my next question. What are you seeing? What are you seeing for 2024, man? Like what are you seeing nationally? Because I'm sure, you know, again, your bank being in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it into a question. Since your bank is in Arkansas, right? Is there almost two meetings? Is there like what's happening in the whole United States and what's happening in Miami? Is it separate? Are you guys looking at it? Miami's such an international market that you kind of
yes and no. I mean, you still got to look at all risk, you know, kind of equal almost, but I think everybody knows that we're a little bit insulated down here
because we're so international and national almost.
Listen, prior to COVID, we had so much international presence and economic boost. And then after COVID, you saw this domestic boost that we just didn't see before, which has really changed, I think, South Florida forever. And I think that's just going to continue.
Yeah.
But we see it. I mean, listen, you got to look at it all the same. But obviously, everybody knows that down here, it's going to be a little bit different. You know, the property values, you know, are still maintaining. You know, we're not seeing any real concerns today. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but, you know, has the market cooled off a bit? Yes. But that's a good thing, too.
It couldn't stay that way.
No, it wasn't sustainable.
No.
And we all knew that was going to happen. Now, you just don't know if we're going to have some kind of, you know, major downturn. I don't see it. I don't see any signs of it yet. There's some concerns out there with some debt that's out there. You know, we saw some concerns with banks. There's still some concerns with banks. There's some banks out there that have, you know, they do have some liquidity issues and their margins are very thin. You know, when we look at some of these banks, when you were lending at 3-4% and, you know, you were giving these long-term rates, and then now the deposit rates have gone up and you're giving that same guy 5%. That business model isn't exactly, you know, ideal, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, there are some concerns out there. You know, the economy is slowing a bit.
Commercial's going to take an ass whooping.
You're going to see some of it. Absolutely.
Multifamily.
Listen, there's a lot of CMBS paper that's coming due.
Yeah.
When these rates, you know, that were at 4% are now at
Start
7-8%.
Right. And
you know,
LTVs,
some of these properties can't handle
right,
it.
but LTVs have gone down
question.
too.
And that's really, if I could, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But there's also been this huge rent increase that we've seen.
Yeah.
In your models, is it showing that the rent increases are going to take and cover that spread, or are you going to see people with a serious liquidity issue that can't refi?
It depends on how leveraged they were. You know, there are some deals. Listen, last year I looked at a lot of deals that they would have worked at 4%, but they weren't working in our environment today.
Sure.
But you know, there were banks that did these loans either way. I mean, I will tell you, us as a bank, we always sensitized our deals. Like, so if the rates were today at 5, we were looking at 8% just to make sure how it worked. You know, and a lot of banks did that too. But there are deals out there.
So it was in your underwriting almost.
Yeah. We did, you know, we did that in our underwriting. You know, you have to.
But
The rates aren't going to be low
even
forever.
in the downturn, there were banks that obviously were banks that went down, and then there were banks that like not only did they survive, but they actually kind of thrived.
Oh, you got to read the book. All the
Yeah.
Devils Are Here.
Yeah.
All
You
the
know?
Devils Are Here is a great
Like
book.
SunTrust is a good example of a bank that like they ate people's fucking lunch during the downturn. I
Mhm.
mean, they just didn't have. I mean, they're still here.
Yeah.
You know.
Listen, the healthy banks are going to do great right now. I think we'll see some mergers and acquisitions next year. I mean, we're actively looking. So,
Dude, it's like golf, man. Every shot makes somebody happy.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
way to look at
just-
it.
It's just the way. Like fucking
There we
Jeff
go.
Bezos, he'll take a fucking pandemic every 5
Yeah.
years, bro. You kidding me? So will Home Depot, Publix. These people crushed it.
Zoom.
And what I hate though
So-
is that I think a lot of the negative narrative out there. There's two kinds of people that fuel the end of the world is coming. There's the people that hate the current administration, so they want to make it seem like it's the end of the world.
Right.
Okay. And then there's the people that benefit from these kinds of difficulties. Like there's a guy that I'm not going to mention his name, but he's friends with my boss too. And we saw him the other day at Riviera, and he comes out and these multi fucking millionaire guys always have the same conversation, like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so this guy's like, I'm selling everything that isn't bolted to the ground, because I'm selling high because I'm seeing the cracks. And the next year I'm gonna fucking pounce and I'm gonna do all this shit. And it's like he's dying for people to suffer.
Yep.
Okay, so that he can so like when it depends on, it's like an old law school professor I had used to say, where you stand depends on where you sit.
Yep.
So it's like if you fucking, if you're looking to benefit from the suffering, economic suffering of others, then you can't wait, bro. You can't wait to fucking be in there and swoop in on these deals that when it comes up for renewal. JC and I were talking about it like a year ago. The renewals were getting tougher. Like I do a lot of the bank's renewals.
Well, LTV's gone down too, right?
and-
so it's not only the rate doubling,
Well, today
it's also the LTVs have gone down. So
on
for
property,
refinance, there has to be some money in that deal.
yeah.
Well, I think the DSCR is more the
It's
issue.
all about cash flow. On income producing properties, it's all about cash flow. Because listen, cap rates haven't really moved a whole lot either. So, and especially down here, and it's because people see the value long term. Somebody may be willing still to pay a 4.5
Because
cap
it's
on
Miami.
something
Because
because they're
it's
like, you know
Miami.
what, 10 years from now, I don't care.
No, and listen,
Yeah.
it's another great example. Cadillac just said DSCR, and I guarantee there's a lot of listeners that are like, "What the fuck is DSCR?"
Debt service coverage ratio.
Yeah,
so-
debt service coverage. But then you translate it, and people
it's
still,
still-
don't get
right.
it.
Well, it's
and
basically
it's like
it's the same. It's the
the
same
ability
thing
of the
as-
property to pay itself.
Yeah,
basically.
it's the same thing that we do with looking at people's debt to income ratio, but
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the property, because as a lender, you're underwriting the property. If that's your collateral, if you have to take it back, you want to make sure it makes sense, it works, and so
I'll tell you,
it's-
most new projects we look at today, when you're looking at it from a debt service coverage ratio, right? They're only working at 50 to 60% leverage.
Yeah.
That's just across the board. I've seen 100 deals in the past month. They're all in the same range.
because cap rates are as low as they are, and
Yep.
interest rates are where they
Correct,
are,
yeah.
and the ratio between the two establishes how far they can go.
Yep.
But I mean, the thing that I always wondered, and this is kind of what I was kind of asking, is 2020. I know where our rents were, at least on the residential side. They're significantly higher in 23 than they were then.
Yeah.
Although I'm seeing a softening in the rents because I think the shadow inventory of short-term rentals are kind
yeah.
of softening that market a little bit. They're being repurposed as long-term rentals. Is the amount those rents gone up on multifamily at least?
In
is it
certain
enough?
in certain cases it will be. In other cases it won't. And we looked at that even on new projects before the rates were going where they were going, but you saw the construction costs had gone up
Oh my
tremendously.
God, yeah. I'm a
So-
builder too.
Yeah, so you're looking at construction costs, but the thing is values and rent went up substantially more. So it didn't matter, it covered. But then you enter now the interest rate increases that came
and the
in.
insurance issues.
And, well, that's a whole insurance is a whole other problem we have in Florida, and that's
What do you think's gonna happen with that? Let's talk about that. Have you heard anything, Richard? What's gonna happen
No,
with that?
we're
I mean,
gonna stay fucked for years, bro. There's no quick fix.
Listen,
I'll tell you what. If I had a ton of money, I would start an insurance company in Florida.
why?
Because, bro, there's a huge opportunity for people to make money. In fact, there's a Florida congressman who's a very wealthy guy, not congressman, a legislator. He's a member of the state house. He's an extremely wealthy guy. He was in the insurance business, and he was just being interviewed the other day talking about how he's looking to invest. There's a lot of opportunity for carriers that want to come in. Obviously, you got to be careful. You got to measure the risk. But there is a lot of money to be made right now in insurance.
You got to get insurance. I mean, listen, I think the banks overall are looking at, like, I'm getting a lot of requests recently for like waivers of wind, right? if we're gonna waive wind, we got to really take a deep dive into what our risk as a bank is, right? What's the land value? Because if everything gets blown away,
right.
if the land value is high enough, if they have low leverage, you got to look at the strength of the actual principal on there. There's factors you got to look at. And listen, we're getting requests all the time to kind of see what they can do. I mean, we've gone even outside of looking at barometric insurance, which is basically an insurance policy that pays out based on how close the eye of the storm is to your actual property. And that could save on it's more so for large, like if you have a hotel or something, it could save you a substantial amount of money to your more like conventional.
Oh, listen,
property
we don't have, wind was so expensive that we don't have it at the restaurant. And we're on the fucking water. Yeah. When we went to the county and we told them flat out, I go, hey, we can't, there's no way we can.
Business model does not work.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It just
we're going to have to just roll the dice.
No, listen, we had some crazy scenarios. We had this one guy was building a house in the Keys, and the build was like $1 million and change. His flood insurance, or not his flood, his wind insurance was $250,000 a year at the time. How does that make any sense?
No, they offered us $500,000 in coverage for $300,000.
Yeah,
on the year, and I was like,
Just
"No,
save the
fuck
money,
you,
right?
just
We'll self-insure.
I'll light a candle and just pray every day.
If I made
every day, bro.
24 months on positive cash flow on this stuff.
Today's November 30th. In fact, hurricane season ends today. Now, of course, last year I think we had a storm in December, or that formed. It didn't come here, but it's like what we were talking about in the prior interview. All the old metrics are like losing their validity. So it's like now you get storms in December. So I don't know that you should cancel hurricane season as of November 30th. But we're happy. We're happy now, that like we made it, bro. Like this year, woo, no problem. So, next year we'll see what the insurance looks like. But if it's the same.
If we have a few years where we don't get any major storms, I mean, that's going to help out a bit, it's all based on historical and claims.
Yeah,
and also,
we took a bath. Dude.
We had a long,
how many hundreds of billions in claims with just Ian?
Well, I think you need some more
storm
reforms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's.
Yeah, and the problem, and also, of course, just the luck that huge storm hit a place that's made out of wood. Like those old little fucking beach towns, bro. Like everything is wood. Like the Florida Building Code has been around since Andrew, but some of those buildings are from before Andrew.
Well, the Andrew Code was only the high velocity Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Yeah. And so as storms have hit, and this is as a builder, like when I took my GC, there's the code. Then there's the code for Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. Yeah. And more counties have just started to adopt it.
Yeah.
I mean,
they have to.
I was doing an inspection in Ocala, and I'm used to windows, and a window inspection in Ocala. And so down here, they go with a screwdriver, and they check every screw on every window, right? Ocala.
Audio guy next door.
I go to the Ocala inspection, and I walk in, a different contractor did the job. And I'm looking, there's screws missing in the frame and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm dead.
Well, listen, there shouldn't be a trailer park in Florida, in my opinion. I mean, think about it. A hurricane comes through. We saw it. I mean, it's
a thing. So the
wood houses or trailers.
So the Ocala inspector comes up, right? He walks in, he pushes on the window, he says, "Looks pretty good," signs the permit card. It's like so counter to what I'm used to, but the non-high velocity wind sections down here, microscope.
And now again,
things are changing. Yeah, things are changing. You're not going to see them. All those trailer parks that were on the coast there, you're not going to see them rebuild those. No, they're going to do nice concrete multi-family buildings. And
we were talking about that earlier with Gaza. It might be a good time to buy some property in Gaza. It's about to be rebuilt. Nice.
billions of dollars. So.
Yeah,
I gotta go too. That's why I'm gonna wrap it up with thank you, JC.
No,
we got to do this again because
there's
a bunch of other shit.
A profound on-air thank you. Remember earlier you were trying to get me to thank you. I want to take a moment to thank JC.
Like thanking your sponsor,
keeping me and most of everyone I know above water.
Listen, I'm happy that when I was able to help, I did, and I'm seeing all these individuals succeed and being so much more successful today. And just to be a part of it some way, somehow is amazing.
By the way, the JC Voltani guy's a great idea.
We should. I'm gonna look into that.
I really like that.
I would buy one, Neguito. All right, JC, I love you, bud. Thanks for coming. We'll do it again with more time, where we could
let me know.
Elaborate a little more.
I'll be available.
All right, guys. Looking forward to the negative comments.
Please don't forget them.